I think I've started every video off with the last 7 years or 20%, 12%, all of the things about car insurance that talk about the rate increases. But the thing that nobody's talking about is the actual stance that insurance has today. Are we going to see another 25% increase in 2025 going into 2026? The answer is no. I don't believe we're going to see many, if any, rate increases on your car insurance. Now, home insurance is a different story. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. The car insurance has increased an average of 12% across the board. If you haven't gone up 12%, it's a good chance you're going to go up more than that because you're behind on the rate increases. If you're seeing a 5, 6, even a 9% increase, that's pretty common right now. That's actually lower than the average. It takes into consideration the normal, which you're used to, a 3% increase. If you actually step back and look at your policy and say, well, how much insurance do I pay versus how much do I make? I get it. That's kind of a greedy thing to say, is like, oh, they're gouging me for everything. But you're only about 3.5% income to car insurance on average. The cost of that increase, even though it goes up to $300, isn't impacting the national average that much. That being said, what I see every day, it does impact everyone's household a lot. If you can't buy the extra groceries that you wanted because now you have more in car insurance, because most Americans are budgeted to a specific amount. And when they're not earning more money, but they're paying more in expenses because the eggs went up and the milk went up and now the car insurance went up and the cost of the car went up and now there's more interest on my credit card because it whatever X, Y, and Z. All of those things are playing a factor that are affecting us greatly. But what insurance companies have started to do was fix this problem several years ago. This is something that has been a problem that they've been trying to correct. Most companies, if you look back 3 years, have increased about 30%. And because of that, going into 2025 and then going into 2026, I don't think even with bad weather, I know we just had the California wildfires and there's a huge issue there. The companies like State Farm and Travelers, they're going to be hurt the worst. You're going to see some impacts there. But take those two companies out of the mix, you're not likely going to see an impact beyond that. We know that Texas had freezing rain. We know that Texas is going to have another hurricane. We know that Florida is going to have 10 to 15 different hurricanes this year. They've planned that. It used to be 9, and that was what kind of upset a lot of insurance companies. They couldn't plan that. Now that it's been 10 and 11 and 12, they've factored that in. So the cost of insurance is not likely going to increase in the next several years. If you're seeing a major impact, what I'm seeing is some companies are actually going backwards on price, which is amazing. I've got a few companies, they're not huge, they're going back 1 to 2 to 5%, which is what we want, because they can't go up more and they can't just gouge customers. The government does step in and say, wait a minute, this is our state. You can't just do that to customers. We need fair trade. All of those things that they make insurance companies, their guidelines or rules that they have to follow are still in place. That's why you see a lot of companies in states like California where they're talking about leaving the state, or they went insolvent or bankrupt. And so that's because they couldn't fit the cost and the value within the regulations. Smaller companies don't have that extra leeway to play off of. Now that we know insurance isn't likely going up, you've got to take a look at your current policy. If yours does go up more than 12%, it's either A, you might be following up with the previous increase that you just haven't seen yet, or B, that company is no longer a fit for your policy. If you have home, your auto, your umbrella, your motorcycle, your boat, all of those pieces, whatever you're insuring today, and you're seeing a major increase, you probably should talk to an independent agent, someone that can look at Nationwide and look at Allstate and look at National General and look at Progressive and look at Cure Auto and all of these companies that are optional for you, and just check out the numbers. It doesn't hurt to at least understand what coverages give you what prices based on your profile. If you are shopping and you're not working with an independent agent, I'll put a link in the description below where you can fill out a quote and start working with one directly. Having one that you can know, like, and trust, that makes a big impact. So if you have somebody that you trust, go to them first, talk with them, say, hey, what else can we do? If you don't have someone specifically that you're looking for, go ahead and fill out the link below. Now, home is a different story. Home insurance is going haywire. Just like our auto went crazy, our homes are going crazy because of the hurricanes and the weather and the freezing and the pipes, but more so the age of the homes. For example, Michigan, their average home is 60 years old. Homes will last hundreds of years, but some of the materials that they built in the 80s and the 70s and sometimes the 90s weren't the proper materials. It was save money, do it cheap, build on a weird foundation. I actually had a friend that had a gap between their subflooring and the wall of like a couple feet. And that was part of the code. They were allowed to have a base, a gap, and then a wall hanging over. And it was nuts. Like you dig down to get out the water that came into the house and you hear the suction of everything coming through. Some of those homes were logistically built based on assuming that there weren't going to be any issues. And now that they're getting older, we're starting to see those issues. More importantly, insurance companies are looking at the roofs. The age of the roofs are probably the largest concern for an insurance company. If you have older than a 10-year roof and it's not in good condition, you're not likely going to find many, if any, insurance companies that will insure you. You're going to see about a 14 to a 20% increase on your home. That is going to be the follow-up, and it will continue until insurance companies don't lose their shirts on these house policies. The home is causing the biggest risk. Let me know what your thoughts are. Has your policy gone up? What have you done to combat that? Are you kind of going over the discounts, or are you just reviewing it with your agent, or have you talked with one of my people? I'd love to understand what your scenario is. If you want to learn more about the discounts, there's a discount video here that's going to go more in depth. If you're trying to figure out kind of that car insurance world and say, what coverages should I carry? I've also got my Car Insurance 101 that'll help as well. I'm Mark with Think Insurance. I'll see you in the next one.